I'm Matt Hurt, at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
I'm Tiny, at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
This is Mike White, at I am Mike White on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Welcome, guys, to the latest episode of the Obsessive Viewer Podcast, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. Today we're talking about movie theater experiences. It's actually the sequel to, I think it was like our 5th episode, like pre-Mike.
We were so young.
I was going to say, this is my first attempt at it.
Right. And I'm looking forward to it.
We were so young.
We were. I was listening to it a little bit this morning, and it was like, I can't remember the circumstances of it, but it was like one of those days where we referenced it in the episode, but it's like it took us an hour just to set up to get it set up. I think it was because we had our USB microphones into one laptop and we couldn't figure out how to get two microphones to work on the same laptop, and it was just a big cluster.
Yeah.
But better days are here.
We're professionals now.
Yes, absolutely. And
I'm also not the only one who's here for the first time.
Right.
Theater experiences too.
We have a guest today. It is Craig Layne from the Intermission podcast. Hey, Craig. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, guys. Great to be here. I've been looking forward to this episode ever since you've been kind of teasing it to me. But, you know, always love talking about my theater stories.
Right. And you used to work in a theater? Correct.
Yeah, I spent several years in the theater business, I guess. You know, everything from shoveling popcorn to fixing movie projectors.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
we're looking forward to hearing your stories, and we're glad to have you on. As I referenced earlier, you're from the Intermission podcast, which is a podcast I listen to all the time. We always talk back and forth about it, and it's fun to have. Great to have you finally on. So I guess for movie theater experiences, I guess I'll get things kicked off if you guys don't mind.
Cool. Set the example.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Well, my first story is it involves a movie that we referenced in the Guilty Pleasures movie episode, and also deals with when I was a theater employee myself. I spent about 4 months in high school working at the local movie theater that's now gone. But I worked I was just basically like mostly concession. I rarely did any ushering, but as anyone who works in the movie theater job arena knows, a lot of times they will they'll screen movies after it to check the reels and all that. So I got to see a number of movies kind of just by myself after work. And one of them was The Village, which was interesting because at the time I was a pretty big M. Night Shyamalan fanboy. And what makes it funny is that I was in the business of writing reviews on IMDb, and I remember vividly writing in the review the phrase M. Night Shyamalan's latest masterpiece.
Oh.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me, The Village was kind of the first movie. The first M. Night Shyamalan movie I was aware was M. Night Shyamalan. Like, I didn't go into Signs thinking that this was going to be an M. Night Shyamalan masterpiece. Like, I was aware of M. Night Shyamalan, and I had seen Unbreakable, and I had seen The Sixth Sense, but The Signs kind of hit me. The Signs was what made me want to see The Village. Is that true for you, or did you go into Signs a huge fan of M. Night Shyamalan? Or was this your first major Shyamalama moment?
Signs was probably it for me because I saw The Sixth Sense and liked it, and then I got Unbreakable, and I think part of it was just I was really big into collecting DVDs. So like I had like the Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, and they released them in the Vista series, like 2-disc folding out kind of packaging and stuff, and it looked really cool. And so when Signs came out, I was like super pumped about it, and I actually really liked Signs. I still think it's probably his best movie. And then when The Village came out, I was really, really pumped about it, and I am not above admitting that my naive review of it was probably due to just my fandom. Because I just recently rewatched it, and it doesn't really hold up that well at all, really. Shocker.
So did you get any type of feedback from your review?
Yeah, actually, someone called me out on the message board saying like masterpiece.
You just lost all your cred.
Exactly.
Everything you've worked for is gone.
Exactly. I think
you should post a retrospective review on the website.
I thought about doing that. I thought about
must.
doing like a whole series on like, because I reviewed a bunch of movies back in high school that I think it would be fun to dig them up and then rewatch the movies and kind of give two perspectives. It'd be like time travel for movie reviews.
I could give you a review I wrote for my high school newspaper about the Amityville Horror.
Oh, nice.
The Ryan Reynolds, the scariest movie I'd ever seen.
I remember reading that review when we were roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that. It could be like a whole series, a finite series. But anyway, to get back to the main topic, the theater experience was really cool because it was the first time I'd like seen a movie just completely by myself, because they were screening and checking the copy or whatever of another movie, and then one of the managers was just like, "Oh, hey, we got The Village. Do you want to watch it?" And I don't even think they needed to screen it or anything. They were just like, "Hey, we're going to be here anyway." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan." So it was kind of cool to just watch it because it was the first time I'd ever watched a movie just completely alone in a theater. So I really liked that. And plus, it was a movie that I had been anticipating, and also at the time I was reviewing, so I was really excited to like have a review written the day that the morning that it was released. Even though it was just really embarrassing in terms of the review.
So was it just you and one other guy in the theater as you watched the movie?
No, it was just me. And then the rest of the employees who stayed over, they were in another theater checking another thing.
Gotcha.
I think there was like 3 people total, and they were just off on their own.
So not much of an experience then.
It really wasn't. It was just more. It was just more exciting because it was just. I mean, as a movie fan and someone who loves the movie theater, it was just cool to see a movie in a different way than I'm accustomed to in a theater setting. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. I was just pulling your leg, man.
Right. Yeah. You, Tiny. No, so it was cool. So, Craig, how about you? What kind of theater experience do you have for us?
Well, it's kind of funny that you talk about pre-screening movies, because that's really the whole motivation I had for starting up movieguys.org.
Oh, nice.
So at that point in my life, we were watching every new movie days before they came out. And, we always said it was to check and make sure they were put together all right. But, I mean, really, that's kind of a cop-out. It's just an excuse to watch the movies.
Of course.
'Cause if you've got a good projectionist, there's no need to watch it beforehand.
Nice.
But probably my most memorable moment watching a movie after hours was actually Josh and I, Josh being one of the other members of the Intermission podcast.
Right.
We stayed over and we watched the movie Gamer. I don't know if you remember Gamer.
Gerard Butler.
Vividly remember it.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe Frankie Muniz was there.
Oh, wow.
But the particular theater that this happened in at the time, we were convinced it was haunted anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and for some reason the projector didn't want to play this movie right. It would start and stop. It would just randomly start and stop halfway through the movie. And we get to the very end of it, and this particular theater, again, is not maintained very well. And none of the curtains worked in any of the theaters.
Okay.
And just right to the final scene, right to the cut for the credits, the curtains just slammed closed like 3 feet.
Huh.
Whoa.
And just freaked us out.
That's awesome.
And what had happened was the movie actually came from another theater, and it still had the cues on the end of it to close the curtains. And some fluke freak of nature, it actually worked for once.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
I've got all kinds of after-hours stories, but that's my favorite one, actually sitting in a movie watching.
That's creepy as hell.
Yeah, so the rest of the night we're going around cleaning theaters like, what was that? What just happened over there?
It's too bad it wasn't like an actual scary movie or something.
Yeah.
I know. That would have made it better, but I don't know. We were having a good time with it.
That's cool. As a side note, what did you think of Gamer?
For what it was kind of terrible. But
Usually when people say for what it was, that's usually followed by it was surprisingly good.
no. It was. I guess I was expecting better. I thought it was going to be pretty good.
Gotcha.
And I thought they had a good idea behind it. Something different, something I thought would be enjoyable. No.
I agree. I think last I checked, I think Mike was. Are you a fan of that movie, Mike?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
Okay.
I like it. I own it on DVD because I blind bought it, and it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I hated it so much. It felt like it was kind of written by like a 14-year-old who just does
Played a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Said I can make a movie.
Exactly. And the whole part where he drinks vodka and then throws up into the gas tank to drive away was like, really? I think that's how it happened, but I don't know. But yeah, I could not stand that movie.
Don't knock it till you tried it.
I don't know. I personally won't rewatch it just because I feel like it'll taint the story now.
Right.
Yeah. I have a friend who saw that movie in theaters, and he lists it as one of the only movies he's walked out on.
Oh, wow.
And he walked out not because it was bad, but because he was sad at how accurate it depicted the future, and how he thought we were all going to be lazy and sex crazed. We were all just going to live through. Yeah, I know. We're all going to live through avatars. That bummed him out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of seeing the trailer for Transcendence. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, Mike, how about you? Do you have a what's?
Yep.
What's
Is that it for you, Craig?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Man, when you said we were doing this, I got super excited, and then I got super bummed thinking about how many awesome movie experiences I had, and how it's going to be difficult to pare it down to 2 or maybe 3 if we have time.
Right.
I wish I could remember my first movie, but I can't. I only know that it was The Little Mermaid because my mom told me. I vividly remember watching Hook, which is my brother's first movie in 1991, and he fell asleep, but there's not really much more of a story than that. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention Star Wars Episode 3.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to talk about.
Nice.
It's kind of an obvious one, and probably an even more memorable experience is my bachelor party, but we've kind of gone at length with that, so I'll skip that for now. But Star Wars Episode 3, of course, came out in the summer of 2005. I'd been a Star Wars fan since I was 10 years old. Loved it. And then Episode 2 came out, and I was really bummed, so I kind of forgot about how much I loved Star Wars. And then in September, the DVD box set came out, and I remember being so hyped up for Star Wars Episode 3 and just seeing all the trailers and everything about it that looked so much better than Episode 2. I couldn't wait. And it also, the whole world thought at that point that was the last bit of Star Wars we were going to get. ever again, which of course we know is not true. So I was super excited for it, and like as summer was coming, and it was my senior year of high school, and I was more excited that summer was coming so I could see Star Wars Episode 3 than I was for anything else that the summer brought, and even perhaps more excited than starting my freshman year of college. Maybe because I was worried about having to live with a roommate.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so a couple weeks before the movie started, or the movie premiered, the midnight showing, I had been working at Culver's for a couple of years, and my boss, I'll name drop him here, Frank Spanopoulos, is married to a woman whose brother owns the theater in Corydon, Indiana.
Nice.
And so he decided that he was going to buy tickets for everybody at Culver's who wanted to go, and kind of have like a Culver's type little mini party at Star Wars Episode 3. And so he got a bunch of tickets and even told me, he was like, this is the first ticket sold in Corydon, and I want you to have it. So he gave me which is incredibly geeky and doesn't matter at all, but I like the idea of having the first ticket sold in Corydon, Indiana. So the night came finally, and he was like, but I have bad news for you. You're going to have to work till close, which was like 10:30. Luckily, I got someone to work for me. I went home and showered, went to the theater, and it was a party like no other midnight showing I had ever experienced in my life, and I've been to plenty. We all brought our lightsabers, and again, I was 18 years old. And a friend of mine, Dustin, who was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, we put on a full choreographed lightsaber fight in the front of the theater for everyone. And we received quite a bit of applause. I wonder if it was like applause that we stopped, but it was also a room full of nerds who probably did the same thing. They just weren't brave enough to do it in front of a bunch of people.
Right.
So the movie started, and I just remember thinking, man, this is the last time I'll ever see the crawl. And I remember just when they go to save Palpatine, and they go to Grievous's ship, and just all the lights, and I was like, this is like no Star Wars I had ever seen. I remember my brother sat next to me, and I think my friend John sat on my other side, and just like looking at each other every time something amazing happened. And when toward the end of the movie, when Obi-Wan tells Anakin, "You were my brother. You were meant to bring balance to the Force, not destroy it." And Dustin cried. I remember looking at Dustin and he was crying. And I was like, that's a little too intense. And so the movie ended, and of course I went to bed at around 3:30 in the morning. And I remember the next day at school when, like, after silent reading, our teacher said, well, I know everybody in this class who went to Star Wars, because everybody who did was sleeping during silent reading. But I didn't care. It was probably up to that point, certainly my favorite movie experience in my entire life.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I also remember going to the midnight showing of Episode 3, and there were lightsaber battles going on before the show where I was at as well. It was pretty cool. Awesome. I really enjoyed it. Princess Leia's everywhere.
Yeah.
A beautiful time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was. I loved it. I can't wait for Episode 7, because I just hope it's similar. I live in a different area of the state now, so I probably won't get to see it with my friends unless I take the day off the next day. I don't know. I just wish that I could recreate that for Episode 7.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good story.
Yeah, thank you.
Tiny, how about you? What's your first theater experience?
The first one I'm going to talk about is back in 2002. It was like a kind of an unofficial double date with one of my best friends.
Nice.
And these two girls. We went to see a little movie called 8 Mile. Yeah. And it was like opening weekend, like Saturday night at a huge theater. And so it was just packed. And we were all in the theater, and it was like 10 minutes before the movie started. And there was this group of kids like up in one of the corners, like the top left corner of the theater, and there was probably like 15 of them. And when I say kids, I mean they were probably like anywhere from 12 to 15 years old. Probably too young to be seeing the movie, realistically. But Eminem was like a phenomenon back then.
Yeah.
He was just, you couldn't go 2 feet in any high school without hearing something about him. So everybody wanted to go see the movie. And so these kids were all there, and they were just talking so loudly, and just it was like being in a school cafeteria, and they were just like getting up and walking around and just being loud as hell, just like the rudest you could possibly be. But we all just kind of ignored it because like the movie hadn't started yet. But like I said, it was packed in there, and so the previews start. And we're watching the previews, and these kids are still kind of talking a lot, and it's annoying. And right before the movie starts, these kids are still just going on, and this dude in the middle of the theater stands up, turns around, and he just goes, "Hey, shut the up." And everybody in the whole theater just went into thunderous applause.
That's
awesome. For the rest of the movie, those kids didn't make a sound.
That's awesome.
It was really great. Yeah.
And that guy was Eminem.
What's that?
And that guy was Eminem. Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I drove to Detroit to see the movie.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course, we all watched the movie, and 15-year-old me was like, "Oh, it was so great! It was awesome." And then, as the famous credits song played, everyone in the theater was singing along to it. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was
fun.
dorkier than a couple of nerds having lightsaber battles.
Yeah.
Psh, whatever. So, yeah. I'm waiting for the sequel.
Oh, wow. Michael Shannon is in 8 Mile.
He is in 8 Mile.
That blows my mind a little bit. I just remember that.
And the actress...
Brittany Murphy.
Wow. Brittany Murphy is dead. Yeah. No longer with us.
Right. That just sounded so like... I thought I was expecting you to say the actress was in it or whatever. No, you're just like, no, she's dead.
Yeah. And the actress is in it is dead. Yeah. Also, Kim Basinger is his mom, right? Or Bachelor.
Right. Yeah.
Who is awful in everything. I hate her so much.
Except LA Confidential.
Yeah.
I only saw it once, and I can't remember her, but...
What about Wayne's World?
Wayne's World?
Yeah. She's the girl that Garth bumps into when he's doing laundry. And she's like really
Wayne's World 2.
Oh, is that the second one? It's been so long since I've seen those.
I mean, she's all right, but that's a comedy, and so you're allowed to laugh at her. Have you ever seen the movie Cellular?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. She's terrible.
Yeah, she's not that great. I'll be honest.
Cellular, starring future Captain America Chris Evans.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't own that on DVD or anything. Anyway, I guess it's my turn. I hesitate to really tell this story because I mean it's kind of a personal story, but I mean,
all the more reason why you must.
Yeah. Tiny knows the full story of this, so
and soon so will we.
And soon so will everyone. I don't care. The parties involved don't listen to this podcast, but I saw Gravity at an antique kind of theater in a small podunk town in Indiana called the Dam Theater in, wow, what is that town called?
Versailles.
No. That was
what?
Nearby the town. This is a different small town. I'm gonna actually look.
That's right. The towns are so small that you have to go to a whole other town to watch a movie.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah. So I was visiting a friend in a town in Indiana, and we went to the Dam Theater, which is a theater that I really wanted to go to for several weeks. And I was really excited because Gravity was playing. So it was an interesting experience because seeing that movie, which is a great movie, a movie that I love. It was Osgood, Indiana. So seeing that movie in such an antique setting, I guess, because to clarify what the theater is like, it reminded me slightly of the Majestic, kind of that old-fashioned kind of 50s or 60s kind of aesthetic. Mm-hmm. And what surprised me was that when passing by it, you wouldn't really think that much of it. I mean, they have like a big marquee that just says Damn Theater, and then they have like the window displays for the posters and stuff, and they have like one box office that's just right off the street, kind of the old-fashioned kind of setup for a theater. And they have one screen, and they're only open on the weekends, and you kind of go in and my expectations for it was that it would be a small or kind of a rundown kind of theater, kind of struggling kind of thing. But man, that theater, like the auditorium of it was just really, it must have been redone, remodeled fairly recently because it looked just pristine. It was really cool because it's independent of other chains, I believe. So it's not a chain or part of a franchise or anything. So all of the before movie advertisements were all for local businesses of the town and all that, which I thought was really cool.
That's how it is in Corridon.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Maybe get Obsessive Viewer on there. Anyway, and then seeing it was really cool. There was some personal issues with the actual viewing experience, but that's more of a personal thing.
He had diarrhea.
Yeah. Diarrhea of the feelings, Mike. No.
Details.
No. It was just a experience, but that's bad phrasing. I don't know how to
It's
explain
perfect
it.
phrasing.
It is, yeah. The situation that happened, there was an altercation in the theater between me and my friend, and it was annoying and aggravating, but it did not overshadow the antiqueness or the specialness of the viewing experience at the damn theater, because the theater was actually very lovely. Like there was balconies and stuff, and
oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was really cool. Like a velvet or like velvet rope kind of separating the balcony stairs and stuff. It was a really kind of high class kind of environment in this kind of small town that didn't really have much going on around it. So that was cool. Damntheater.com with the damntheater.com with 2 M's is where you can find the theater on the internet.
Cool.
Very cool.
So there was my...
Is it more like a playhouse where they do like live shows and then they show movies on the weekends, or they primarily do movies?
I believe they only do movies, and it's only on the weekends. I don't even think they're open or anything during the week. Yeah. The town is like, I mean, it's like a really small, like, I don't know much about the town of Osgood, but I mean, I know that it's a really, really small town. Like there's like a gas station across the street, and I think a bakery on the other side of the building. That's about it. And a bunch of houses. And I mean, there's surrounding areas that have some things to do, I guess. But I mean, it's just this little tiny community with this really awesome theater that I wouldn't even have had any idea about had I not driven by it on my way to other towns.
That's really cool to me because, all these little one-screen theaters are gone, and there's so many neat little movie houses like that are out there. And
Exactly.
It's just neat to hear that there's still one that's operating.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah. It's really, it's really cool to see because it was like being kind of transported back to kind of the glory days of cinema, and it was just a really cool environment to be in. And the movie was awesome because it was my second time seeing it in the theater. Seeing Gravity in the theater, I ended up seeing it 3 times.
Nice.
So it's cool. Yeah. Craig, what's your next story for us?
Well, my next one, whenever probably one of the first big blockbusters that came out when I was working in the theater that I was really excited about was the Transformers.
Oh, okay.
And of course, then I actually saw the Transformers, but that's another story.
Right.
But the bigger movies, whenever they would come out, we would get them at the theater normally a day or two before they would come out, and we'd all get a chance to sit down and watch them. Well, this particular movie, the Transformers came with half of the movie locked in its can and the other half not locked. Mm-hmm. And the locked can, they released the code the actual day that you were supposed to start playing the movie.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it was the first time I'd ever experienced this. It happened a couple of times since then, but so I did the logical thing after I couldn't figure out the combination just by trying a couple of things. And I called some of the other theaters that we worked with, and I actually got a hold of Josh, who was at a theater about an hour away, and some mix-up had happened, and where his copy was delivered in 2 cans and our copy was delivered in 2 cans. The first half of the movie of mine was locked. The first half of his movie was unlocked. So,
nice.
I drove the Transformers half of it an hour away, and then we put it together like a week before it was supposed to even come out, and stayed late and watched it that night.
That's awesome.
And that's one of those stories. This is really the first time I've been telling it kind of publicly. Because it's just been long enough now.
That's awesome.
But
wow.
It was a really good time. Yeah. Yeah, we had a probably 15, 20 people there watching it with us. It was just a really good time.
That's fantastic.
That is really cool.
That's awesome.
But one of the perks I really miss was, watching the movies like that.
Right.
But, after that, we kind of figured out how to get the locks undone other ways without breaking them. I don't know why they put locks on them. It was really more of an incentive to open it.
Yeah.
Than a deterrent, I guess.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah.
I'm jealous I never worked at a movie theater. I always wanted to.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I worked at Culver's, and Culver's always paid so much better than the Korean cinemas. as what I heard. And conditions were horrible.
I wouldn't really recommend it. I would recommend making friends with someone that works at a movie theater.
That is definitely the best way to do it.
Yeah.
With me, like I said, I only worked for about 4 months in the theater. And it was just, I didn't like it. I loved being able to see movies for free, obviously. I mean, that was the biggest draw to it. But just the working conditions, the pay, it just wasn't really that fun. I mean, it wasn't. It was really not an enjoyable experience. But I mean, if pay is the issue, I mean, you save so much money just being able to see the movies for free.
Yeah.
Which is actually a stat that I'm tracking this year. How much money?
Yeah, how much you're spending on movies? I saw that.
Yeah, this month in March, I spent like close to $200.
Wow.
Just on. Well, that's kind of a loaded thing. It's not like only movie theater stuff. It's like movies plus DVDs, Blu-rays, stuff like that. And I had bought some stuff because I was going to go to a convention. So that's why I spent so much money. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's in Cincinnati, which is where the convention was. But Mike, how about you? What's your next story?
All right, my next one is going to be kind of a combo. I want to talk about the couple of times I saw The Dark Knight in theaters.
Nice.
The first one was at midnight, and I remember it as like the last huge midnight movie I can remember. Like the last one that really, really, really mattered. One that was as big or comparable at least to Star Wars Episode 3 is The Dark Knight. Nothing really since then has been that huge. Not even the Avengers, surprisingly enough.
Wow.
So The Dark Knight was kind of a big deal for me. We went to the theater and it was at midnight, and there were so many people there. They ended up, opening a couple extra screens to show it, and that was a really cool experience. My favorite though was the second time I went to see it, and I saw it with just my dad. So it was my dad, me, and then I know for sure one other woman in the theater. And then there might have been one or two others. But we'll say there were no more than 5 people in the theater, including my dad and myself. And my dad is a loud movie watcher. Okay, he likes to do his own commentary when he watches a movie. And so, anything that explodes or anything that gets punched, you will elicit a vocal response from my dad. Probably the best was, I don't know, I guess 3/4 of the way through the film, when they, using practical effects, flip the semi. Yeah. You know the scene I'm talking about, where shortly after they're driving around Lower Wacker Avenue in Chicago, and Batman is chasing him on the Batpod, the Joker on the Batpod in the semi, and then he does a little figure 8 kind of deal and racks up the wheels with a tow cable, and then using the brilliant practical effects, actually flips the semi. Yeah. Well, when it happened, and I was anticipating my dad to react. I know his triggers. I know when he's going to say something. Again, it's maybe 5 people in this theater, including the 2 of us. And he flips the theater, and my dad goes, "Oh, shit!" at the top of his lungs. And that's how I reacted to it. And I was just like, "Dad, you can't. You're ruining this lady's Dark Knight experience." Oh, but it was kind of endearing. I mean, I loved him for it. It was hilarious, but it was certainly a memorable theater experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's that story.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so am I up?
Yeah, it's your turn, Tony.
All right. This one coincidentally also involves me seeing a movie with my dad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was very personal because, well, obviously because it was me and my dad, but my dad and I have pretty similar tastes in movies, and he recommends a lot of stuff to me, like from when he was younger, and like stuff that I maybe haven't even heard of, and I watch him like, oh man, it was so great. So me and my dad are on the same wavelength in that sense, but one area that we differ, a conversation we've had many times, is the Alien franchise.
Ooh.
I think the original is the superior film.
Mm-hmm.
I love the original. It's in my top 20.
But
agree. But my dad prefers the James Cameron sequel, Aliens. Okay. He thinks it's the superior film. And so we've debated it several times, and it's always friendly, of course. We're never like, no, you're stupid, you're nuts. It never goes there. But
right.
So finally we have this opportunity for a new debate a couple years ago when Prometheus comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's supposed to be like a prequel or I don't know, something.
Right.
And so it just so happened that my dad had retired like a few months before that movie came out, and so he enjoyed his retirement for about a year, and he didn't work and just kind of got into some hobbies and stuff. And so I would go see movies like during a weekday, during like a matinee or whatever. And so I was going to see Prometheus, and he just joined me, and I was like, yeah, this is great, this is awesome. And nothing was especially noteworthy about it, except that it was me and my dad kind of bonding over this thing that we've been debating since like I was a teenager, and my dad doesn't do real well with gore and violence, and Prometheus was especially violent, even in the context of the Alien franchise. And so it was funny to see him like wince and go like, "Oh," during the movie. It was really funny. It was just nice that and then, like on the ride home, we were talking about it and like how all the references to the original and stuff. It was just a cool experience.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I know that you. I remember you telling me that there like all the debates that you and your dad have had over that. So that's really cool.
Yep.
I guess. Go.
It looks like we've got time for another round.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We're at about 40 minutes, so we'll be good. My next, or I guess this will be my last story, is actually Tiny was there back in, I think it was 2012, in December 2012. He and I went and saw the Polar Express in 3D at the IMAX theater. We went with our friend Molly, and what makes it unique and funny is, first of all, this is like the second time we had gone to see a movie at that theater, and both times, the first time was we went and saw The Dark Knight Rises, and both times we were kind of not late getting there, at least for the Polar Express we weren't late, but there was such a large amount of people there that we were forced to sit pretty much in the front row, which, I mean, in an IMAX, like a true like 70 millimeter IMAX screen that's massive, plus 3D, it kind of isn't the optimal seating position, but I digress there. But so we're sitting there and we're watching it, and what's funny is that on like the ride home, our friend Molly, who had never seen the Polar Express, she was kind of mad because apparently like there was a little kid right behind her who kept spoiling the movie like throughout the whole movie, like talking and explaining what's going on, which has made me laugh a lot because like one of the things was like she was like saying that spoiler alert for the Polar Express, but when he has the ticket punched by Tom Hanks's character as the conductor at the end of the movie, like, and it's concealing like what it actually says, and like I guess a little kid behind Molly was like, "It's gonna say believe." So I just thought that was funny that that the first viewing of that for our friend was spoiled by a kid that was spoiling the entire movie.
And they had a promotional thing where any kids who were wearing their pajamas to the showing could get in for free.
Yeah.
And so there were all these families, and like, say there's 400 people in the theater, like 200 of them were kids under the age of like 10, probably. So it was just packed with children, and then me and Matt, two grown men, and our friend Molly we kind of stuck out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And not weird or anything.
Oh,
Not
no,
at all,
not weird
no.
at all. Although you can make the argument that like that's kind of weird for them to say, oh well, you know, if the kids wear pajamas, they get in for free. That's a creepy thing that's a creepy promotion to
Sort of
put forth, I would think.
Yeah.
Not if it's supposed to be for families.
Yeah, but pajamas? I don't get that, really.
Our local theater just did a similar promotion for Frozen, to where anyone dressed like princess could get in for free.
See, that I get.
But they put pictures on Facebook, and there was one little boy there dressed up as a pirate, just because he wanted to dress up too.
That's cool.
Great. Another thing, during that viewing, all of course the kids were talking because kids talk and they never stop.
Right.
And so all the kids it was in 3D, and it's the really awesome 3D that we have now. And all the kids were commenting on it like, "Oh, it's like the snow is falling on us," and and it's like I can grab the present. And
whoa, that's pretty existential.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the gift? I can grab the gift.
Damn it, Mike.
You should have turned around and said,
wow.
Would that I could have grabbed the present when I was your age. Don't ever let go.
Nice.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh wow.
But so all these kids were making these comments, and so freaking Matt. At one point, this lady who was in our aisle, like down a couple seats down from us, got up and she had to leave, and she like walked right in front of us. And Matt leaned over to me and he's like, "Oh my god, it's like that lady was right in front of us."
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you dork. So I laughed really loud.
Wow. Yeah.
It was funny.
I'm an idiot. So yeah, that was a fun experience. Yeah, and I love the movie. I'm a huge fan of the Polar Express.
Yeah,
so it's cool to see that in that setting. And that theater is just so awesome because it's like the only 70 millimeter IMAX screen in the state. It's like the largest screen in the state. Also,
it's just like three times larger than a normal screen.
Yeah, and it's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, kind of keeping with, I guess, the kids' movie theme.
Mm-hmm.
My next memorable experience is going to be the night the open season premiered. So it's just myself and one other person working at the theater this particular night. And, I mean, everyone else had called off or, just pretty much didn't want to come to work.
Jeez.
Pretty bad experience. But
yeah,
there's kids everywhere screaming their heads off. There's pissed off parents. Their popcorn's not right or something. And right in the middle of all this chaos, I mean, probably 50, 75 people lined up at the concession stand still.
Oh,
someone comes out of the screen for Jackass 2 and says, "Hey, there's some kids movie playing in here." And I was like, "Well, kids movie?" And I really didn't think much of it. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, wait a second. If the kids movie's playing in there, where's Jackass? Oh, I got it stopped just in time. But it was getting ready to be ugly. Really, really ugly.
Oh, man.
That's fantastic.
Which Jackass movie?
I believe it would have been Jackass 2 at that time.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of a race up the steps to shut it off. And basically, there was just a miscommunication between where it was supposed to be and where it actually was. And
jeez.
But I could have just imagined all the parents that would have been upset.
Oh, that's awesome. I had a similar kind of experience as a viewer on the viewer side of things in the Speedway Shopping Center, which is like a long stretch of a shopping center pretty much. There used to be like a little dollar cinema with like 2 screens. And way back in the day, I went to see Liar Liar with my brother there and ended up playing Anaconda, which was kind of interesting.
Classic.
Yeah, but
that had happened before at one of the other theaters that I'd worked at with Not Another Teen Movie. I can't remember what the kids movie was.
Oh no,
that one actually made it about 5 minutes in.
Oh, in the first 5 minutes of Not Another Teen Movie is not something kids should see.
No, not at all.
At all. If you guys don't remember, it's where she has the vibrator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just remembered it.
I wasn't personally involved in that one, but I heard the story, several times.
I would not want to work in the theater on that day. All those pissed off parents. That must have been hell.
I couldn't imagine.
Wow. That's awesome. Cool. So Mike, what about your next story?
My turn. Man, there's so many. It's hard to leave some behind.
Yeah.
I guess I'll talk about when I watched Rocky Horror Picture Show in 2008.
Nice.
Now, of course, Rocky Horror Picture Show, I think predates me, when it originally came out in theaters. So I saw it in 2008 and again in 2009 at the Mesker Park Amphitheater in Evansville, Indiana. they do midnight showings on the first weekend in October. And it was, of course it predates me. It was, going to midnight showings was something my mom used to do in her late teens, early 20s. And so I had always heard how fun it was to go to Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I had never actually seen the movie, before I went to see it for the first time. And, we decided to dress up because you do that. You cosplay when you go to. It's not even really cosplay in that sense. It's mostly just dress up like a slut night.
Yeah.
It's really what it's for. But we decided, of course, to go as accurate as we could to the characters. And the girl I was dating at the time, she and I went as Brad and Janet in just our underwear. And I wore tidy whities and glasses and nothing else.
Huh.
Awesome.
It was really, really awesome. We were like celebrities going in there. I mean, people want, because there were like 6 of us, and we pretty much had the main cast rounded out as far as people in costumes. So that was really cool. The movie itself was amazing, and I had a blast watching it, and I loved participating. But the thing I'll never forget was getting ready for it, and how ridiculous we all looked. And my friend Jeff played Dr. Frankenfurter. And so I'll never forget, and he'll probably never forget, I had to help him put his makeup on and connect his garter strap to his fishnet stocking. And I just remember how delicately I did that, and just my middle finger brushed his upper thigh, and thinking, I'm going to be a teacher in a year.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And so we went, and that was a fantastic moment we shared and we joke about all the time. I went again the next year, but I never dressed up again, and it was just a blast. It was just a really, really fun experience. I get it. I get cosplay. I get dressing up, and the participation was really fun.
Nice.
Unforgettable experience.
So the first weekend in October, and you were in your underwear. That must have been a little...
Yeah, it was cold. Well, I will also be honest. Yeah. No. I'll be honest. Shortly after the movie started, I put some clothes on.
Okay.
But we got there at like 9:30, and the show didn't start until midnight.
Oh, wow.
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 Yep.
Huh. I've never seen
Might have been
Rocky Horror.
10.
I've never seen Rocky
You've never
Horror
seen it?
Picture Show. No. Yeah, I don't really know
Well,
much
we could
about
go
it.
as Brad and Janet if you want.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh,
I don't think they do. I don't know. They definitely don't hold Mesker Park Amphitheater anymore.
Oh, really?
I don't know if they still do it anywhere.
They used to do like a weekly thing here in Speedway at the Speedway Theater that I referenced about Liar Liar and stuff. But obviously that theater's gone now, so I mean they don't do it. But they used to do like weekly, like Friday night Rocky Horror Picture Show, like every week. It's kind of interesting. Well, Tiny, do you want to give your final story?
The thing is, I have some other ones, but they're just not appropriate at all.
Really?
For multiple reasons. It was kind of funny when I was a senior in high school. The girl I was dating at the time hated scary movies, just hated them, but was a big movie buff, kind of like me. And so she usually got to pick what kind of movie we were going to watch. And finally, she let me pick a movie I wanted to go see, and I picked the movie Saw, which is so cruel of me to pick. And it was just hilarious because it was like a Friday night, and the theater was pretty packed, and I loved the movie so much. And she was sitting next to me the entire time, just grabbing my hand and just hating me. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just do some potpourri. Yeah, this is Potpourri. This is the section where we talk about whatever we want as long as it smells good. Anything that we're watching or looking forward to. Mike, how about you kick us off with some Potpourri goodness?
Whew, you just busted right into that.
I sure did. I totally relieved all the stress of I got nothing.
This is the last night of spring break, so I got to enjoy some spring break goodness and watch some movies and catch up on some things that I wanted to experience. I had wanted for a long time to see the movie Spring Breakers, and I finally did.
Nice.
And it was really awful. It was really, really awful. It was a big load of pretentious trash. When I pitched it to my wife, she was like, "Why would I want to watch that?" It's you say Spring Breakers and you look at the cover, and it's a bunch of scantily clad, attractive women, and you think it's going to be the type of movie you would have wanted to watch in 7th or 8th grade.
Right.
It is not at all. It's not about that, and I knew that going in that it was going to be more, a little more art house than that. It was such pretentious trash, though, that it was such pretentious trash that it was in great danger of being turned off before I finished the movie.
Oh, wow.
That is a rare thing for me to do. People raved about how awesome James Franco was, and he was okay. He was the best part of the movie, and very much a chameleon, but the rest of it was so ridiculous. It was so repetitive, and I won't say much to anybody who wants to watch it. But of course, the characters were despicable, and they were also portrayed despicably and acted horribly. It was just a really, really bad experience, and I wish I hadn't watched it.
Wow.
Yep.
Tiny, you had kind of a different view of it, didn't you?
Sort of. I mean, sort of. It was a bad movie, definitely.
Okay.
But I thought I kind of appreciated the aesthetic of it. The way it was filmed, the tone of it was not something that I'm really a fan of, but I thought it was kind of well done in a way. To the way it was filmed. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting super defensive here.
That's okay.
I'm not going to disagree with anything you said because you were absolutely right, but I don't know. I appreciated a certain aspect of it, but for the most part, yeah, just a pretty stupid movie that didn't really need to get made.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool. Craig, how about you? What do you have for Potpourri?
Well, this week I rewatched Seven Psychopaths.
Oh,
Nice.
I still
It's
haven't gotten a
incredible.
chance to
I
see
love it.
Nice.
Still haven't seen it.
The cast
It's-
is amazing in that.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. It really surprised me. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as good and I guess as intricate as it actually wound up being.
Awesome.
But just all the little subplots and everything going on during the movie, I guess I really like that. Kind of gets you paying attention to more than just the main story happening.
That's awesome.
Sam Rockwell is great in that.
Yes, absolutely.
He
Not
looks,
that he's ever bad.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I really need to check that out. Yeah, it's Sam Rockwell. Wow.
Colin Farrell.
Colin
Christopher
Farrell.
Walken.
Yeah, but Christopher Walken's character in the movie is probably by far my favorite.
Nice.
But just his little side story is really, it makes the whole movie worth watching.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Tiny, how about you? What do you got?
I watched the movie Delivery Man. I'm sure a lot of you have forgotten about it. It's the latest Vince Vaughn movie. I went in with expectations to pretty much hate it. Vince Vaughn isn't even trying anymore. But it turned into this kind of charming little movie. I think there's this exercise lately of trying to make movies that they're marketed as comedies and they star comedic actors, but they turn into this really heartfelt kind of story that's actually really kind of touching and charming. Another example would be like the movie The Switch with Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston. It has to be listed and marketed as a comedy because it has this ridiculous scenario. Like this dude switches out this sperm sample for his friend he's kind of has a thing for, and then the Vince Vaughn movie, it's like, oh, this guy donated sperm like 700 times, and as a result, 500 kids were born. It's like you can't have that kind of scenario in a movie and have it be like dramatic.
Right.
It's just impossible. So unfortunately, it's kind of hamstrung by that. But I think eventually, after like a third of the movie or halfway through, it turns into this like kind of really touching, like heartfelt movie that's like I just enjoy this story. I enjoy what these people are going through and how this crazy, crazy situation led to a really nice thing. And I think Delivery Man kind of got there. It was kind of nice. The evolution of Vince Vaughn's character was kind of cool. How he embraced this role that he was, just unwillingly thrust into. It was a kind of a touching thing. Not a great movie. Again, it didn't get snubbed by the Oscars or anything, but I think it gives you what you want sometimes. It's an enjoyable movie to watch for 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever.
Okay.
I think it's worth a watch.
Cool.
I'm glad to hear it. It's on my list.
Mine too.
And I kept meaning to say it, and it seems kind of like it feels like a date night movie.
Yeah.
And I keep meaning to Redbox it or something. I'm glad your description of it is exactly how I expected to feel about it, and I'm glad it's at least that.
Right.
Nice.
Kobe Smulders is in it.
Awesome.
Yep.
Vince Vaughn is really what made the movie, and like you said, his character development throughout the movie. And I don't think they could have picked a better person to portray that character.
Yeah, he was great.
He just fit it perfect. And I was really skeptical going into it myself, but it was refreshing.
Nice. Yeah,
it surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add quickly. I waited to say this because I thought you were going to mention seeing Frozen, Tiny.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Which I know you posted. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. So I do want to say, as of this morning, Frozen is now officially the highest grossing animated film of all time. And I say it because we had the Pixar conversation, and I mentioned which was the highest grossing. So Frozen, from Disney is now the highest grossing animated picture of all time.
Wow, it's beat out all the
All of
Pixar
them.
movies. Man, I mean that's cool.
It's made over $1 billion and still in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did love it. By the way, I think I maybe liked it more than you did, Mike.
Maybe I didn't sell it well enough because I loved it. I really did.
You want to fight about it?
No, I'll let you have it. But I didn't mean to slight it at all. It was fantastic.
I still need to see it.
It's so reminiscent of the golden age of Disney.
Okay.
And that's what I love about it. I mean, it ranks up there with Aladdin and The Lion King.
Oh,
Little
wow.
Mermaid, Pocahontas.
Definitely, with a whole new twist on it.
With a whole new twist. It's that good. It's at least that good.
Nice.
Yep.
As a Pixar fanboy, even though it's still in the Disney family or whatever, I'll have to go into it with kind of a critical eye. But I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Let it go, Matt.
I know. Is it my turn for Potpourri?
I think that's you.
Oh, wow. And I'll be running it out. Wow. Well, I've been on a tear watching a lot of stuff. Really quickly, I just want to say that I was really excited because I got into a groove where when House of Cards Season 2 came out, I made the stupid decision to watch one episode at a time and review each episode on the website. So I would get into this thing where I'd watch one episode of this show that is incredible and meant to be binge watched, and I would have to stop because I would have to write my review. and I procrastinate a lot, so a lot of that was like watch one episode every 3, 4, 8 days. But last couple nights ago, I was like, you know what? I don't really have anything going on, so I would watch an episode, take my notes, and then switch over to Game of Thrones, which is something that like it's premiering this weekend, not next weekend. The new season is, so I'm like, I'm going to rewatch this series, and I started season 1 like a long time ago, and I'd finished it a long time ago, and I just never got around to putting in my season 2 Blu-rays. So I would basically switch off between one episode of House of Cards, make my notes, and then switch over to an episode of Game of Thrones as I write my review. So I cranked out about 5 reviews of House of Cards, and I spent pretty much all of the other day just prepping them and putting them on the site and scheduling them to post. So I was like really proud of how productive I was with that.
I can't believe you're single.
It's really weird.
Oh, I just puckered my butthole. It's like, oh no, he didn't.
Yes.
I can't believe I just said puckered my butthole.
I can.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
It's interesting that you say it's meant to be binge watched. Is it fair to say then perhaps it is meant to only be reviewed as a whole?
Ooh.
It's a tough call. I don't know exactly, because and this is part of a bigger discussion about what Netflix is doing with its original programming, but I've always said like it's kind of destroyed the water cooler talk, the kind of like, the next day you talk about something that you've watched, something that was on air. It operates outside of the TV scheduling. So I think part of that is that I'm having a lot of, it's really easy to review each episode because it's so densely packed with development and moving the story along, because it's a relatively short season. It's comparable to a basic cable or premium cable television season in that it's like 13 episodes, but they don't have the restrictions of television. They don't have to write to commercial breaks. They don't have to write around a block of scheduling. So they can write out pretty much an episode of television that ranges from 46 minutes long to 52 minutes long. So they can put all of their storytelling into this package of an episode without having to worry about these other forces, these other obstacles. So each episode is it's not self-contained because it's a sprawling story, but I think the bigger picture as a whole is something that could be reviewed, and I don't know if it's better to review it like that or better to review it episode by episode and catch all the nuanced things. Not saying that I have, because it got to a point where I was like, okay, this happened here, this happened here, this happened here in my reviews. Although still read them on obsessiveviewer.com. So I don't know how to answer that question. But it's an incredible show, to say the very least. It's one of, if not the current best show on television. It is the best show on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even on TV, technically. So that ran a little longer than I anticipated, but that's what I watched this past couple days. I still have 3 episodes left, so by the time this posts, I'll probably have watched them. The other thing I watched was a movie on Netflix that I had seen. I hadn't seen much about. I don't even know if it was really on in cinemas or in theaters or anything. But it's called Stuck in Love. It has Greg Kinnear and Nat Wolff, who was one of the good parts about the movie Intermission. But it was really good. It was about a family, kind of a family of who the patriarch is this writer who and his son and daughter are writers, and he's in love with his ex-wife, and it's kind of their troubles and travails in love throughout like a year. And each character kind of has their own little story going on, but it's kind of this. I don't know how else to describe it except it's a good movie. It's just a good dramatic movie with some light humor here and there, but it got some really good performances. Greg Kinnear, I've always liked him as an actor. And then wow, what is her name? Lily Collins plays the daughter, and she was really good in it. She plays this writer who just got published, and she's not very cynical about love and all that. And her love interest in the movie is played by Logan Lerman.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. He is, and he was really good in the movie. A little underused, but pretty good as a supporting role. Nat Wolff, though, he really impressed me because I really liked him in Admission, although I felt like he was underused. So it's cool to see him kind of in a bigger, more expanded role. Also, his character is a huge Stephen King fan, which I appreciated as a huge Stephen King fan.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out, Stuck in Love. It also featured Kristen Bell, which she's prominently in the like screenshots and stuff that are on Netflix and on the DVD and all that. But her role is very limited, so I kind of wonder if she was like a producer on it or something like that. So check that out. It was a good movie.
Cool.
Yeah, is that about it? Anything else you guys want to talk about, or should we wrap it up?
I think we should wrap it up.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, thank you to Star Tissue for providing the theme music, and thank you to Craig Layne from the Intermission podcast for joining us. It was great having you on, man.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Yeah. As always, you can find us on the internet at Twitter. Our respective handles are at ObsessiveViewer, at ObsessiveTiny, and at I am Mike White. And Craig, where can we find you on the internet and on Twitters and all that?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at MovieGuysCraig. You can find us at our website, movieguys.org, and that's where the podcast is also featured at. And we're on Facebook, all the usual places.
Nice, awesome, and definitely check out Intermission podcast. It's a really good podcast. I enjoy it a lot. As always, you can find us on Facebook at The Obsessive Viewer, Google+, Tumblr, all that stuff. You can also email us at ovpodcast@gmail.com. You can email us anything you want, reviews you want us to discuss, or movies or topics you want us to discuss, or audio files of your own reviews or whatever you want, and we'll play it for the podcast. I blinked on the rest of it. I meant to make a list of the stuff that I need to talk about in the outro, but I forgot.
Classic. What'd you say? Classic?
Yeah, classic Matt.
Classic Matt.
Matt.
Find us anywhere you want. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can also vote for us for Podcast of the Month at podcastland.com, and also rate and review us on iTunes. That would help us out a ton. And most of all, just tell your friends about us and spread the word.
Good word.
The good word, yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. That about does it.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Adios. You would be amazed the number of used condoms you find in a movie theater.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. All the time.
What's funny about about that is that I cherished the movie theater. It's desecrating my special place.
We always tell people, throw your trash away. That's all we ask.
Yeah.